South Africa, land of breathtaking landscapes, diverse cultures, and eerie, haunted locations. From centuries-old castles to forgotten mansions, this country hides a chilling paranormal history that refuses to fade. Today, we're diving deep into 15 of the most haunted places in South Africa, where restless spirits still walk among the living. So turn off the lights, sit back, and prepare to discover the ghosts and legends that haunt these mysterious destinations. 1. Castle of Good Hope, Cape Town. The Castle of Good Hope, a stoic fortress dating back to the 1600s, is filled with chilling legends. Among the most spine-tingling is the appearance of a spectral black dog seen darting across the grounds before vanishing into the night. The dungeon, known as the Donkergat, was a place of immense suffering, where prisoners were left in complete darkness for days, their anguished cries haunting the halls even centuries later. Lady Anne Barnard, the socialite and artist, is often seen gracefully floating through the ballroom, her ghostly figure lingering in the shadows of grand parties that no longer exist. The relentless pounding of footsteps, voices, and doors slamming has left visitors unnerved, as though the castle itself refuses to forget its violent past. 2. Tokai Manor House, Cape Town. The tragic night of New Year's Eve in 1885 remains etched into the soul of Tokai Manor House. It was a night filled with revelry, where the young heir to the estate took it upon himself to ride his horse through the grand halls in drunken excitement. But the merriment was short-lived as the horse slipped on the polished floors, throwing its rider to his death. The echoes of this fatal gallop still reverberate through the corridors. Late at night, many have reported hearing the unmistakable sound of hooves thundering through the house, yet the halls remain empty. Visitors have felt an unshakable presence following them, a cold hand brushing against their skin, and a chill in the air that lingers long after they leave. The tragic rider, it seems, is forever trapped in a loop, reliving his final moments of thrill and terror. His spirit, restless and remorseful, haunts the manor, watching as guests tread carefully, wary of the dark corners where he hides, watching from beyond the veil. 3. Uniondale Road. The Uniondale hitchhiker legend is one of South Africa's most famous ghost stories. Maria Roo, a young bride-to-be, was killed in a car accident on this desolate stretch of road on a stormy Easter weekend in 1968. Since then, numerous drivers have recounted the same eerie encounter. A woman dressed in white appears at the side of the road, flagging down cars for a ride. Some have described her as serene and calm, while others speak of a distressed figure. Yet once she's seated in the car, her form begins to fade, leaving only the soft scent of lavender behind. The moment of realization always brings terror to the driver, as they watch the passenger seat slowly empty itself. Others claim to hear the sound of a distant car crash, the screeching of tires, and a scream cutting through the wind on particularly cold nights. Those who've encountered Maria's spirit often describe the experience as profoundly unnerving, as if the road itself is suspended between this world and the next, trapping her in a perpetual state of seeking home but never arriving. 4. Kimberley's Ghost Tours, Northern Cape Kimberley, once a bustling town during the Diamond Rush, now harbors ghosts as old as the mines themselves. Beneath the surface lies a vast network of tunnels, where thousands of miners toiled and many met their gruesome ends. Their ghosts now walk the streets and alleys of Kimberley, particularly around the infamous Big Hole, where countless souls were lost. On ghost tours, guides speak of the spectral figures of miners still wandering the tunnels, their faces gaunt, their pickaxes hanging limply from transparent hands. The air feels heavy, laden with the energy of those who perished in search of fortune. Visitors report hearing the sound of rocks being chipped away and whispers carried on the wind. The town itself seems alive with the past, as though the walls are saturated with the memories of those who never left. Some have even claimed to see figures dressed in old mining gear standing at the edge of the Big Hole, staring into the abyss, as if pondering the eternal depths below, forever trapped between their obsession and their untimely death. 5 Nottingham Road Hotel, KwaZulu-Natal. In the quiet town of Nottingham Road, the old hotel stands like a sentinel from another era. Built in the 1800s, the hotel is known for its most famous ghost, Charlotte, a former barmaid. Charlotte's tale is one of love, betrayal, and heartbreak. She fell in love with a British soldier stationed at the hotel, but the romance ended in tragedy when she either took her own life or met an untimely death under mysterious circumstances. Now guests report seeing her wandering the corridors late at night, her delicate figure drifting through the hallways as she searches for her lost love. She is known to move objects around the rooms, especially in room 10, where guests have woken up to find their clothes neatly folded, despite having left them strewn about. The scent of her perfume occasionally wafts through the air, and a soft, melancholic sigh can be heard in the dead of night. Charlotte's spirit is not malevolent, but her sadness permeates the hotel, a reminder of a love lost to time. 6. Jan van Riebeek Primary School, Cape Town. At Jan van Riebeek Primary School, the ghost of a former headmistress lingers, haunting the school where she once ruled with an iron fist. The legend tells of her brutal murder on the premises, stabbed in her office in a crime that shocked the community. Since that fateful day, strange occurrences have plagued the school. Doors slam shut on their own, and teachers and students alike have reported seeing her figure standing at the end of the hallway watching silently. The atmosphere in the school shifts after dark, the air thick with an oppressive energy that makes the bravest of souls uneasy. The lights flicker, and shadows move where none should be. Her ghost has been known to appear in classrooms during early morning hours, her stern gaze fixed on the students as if still enforcing the rules of the school. Even in death, it seems, she has not relinquished her control over the halls of Jan van Riebeek, a specter of discipline, forever bound to the place where she met her violent end. 7 Grey Hospital, King Williamstown. Once a place of healing, Grey Hospital has become a den of restless spirits. The hospital, long since abandoned, now sits in disrepair, but the souls of the patients who died there remain. Visitors and urban explorers have reported hearing the faint cries of patients in pain, their voices echoing down the decaying hallways. The operating theater is said to be particularly haunted, with the spirits of those who died on the table still trapped in their final moments of agony. Cold drafts sweep through the building, despite there being no open windows or doors, and the feeling of being watched is ever present. Some have seen ghostly figures lying in the hospital beds, their translucent faces twisted in torment. The hospital, it seems, is a place where death still lingers, refusing to let go of the souls that met their end within its walls. 8 Old Presidency, Bloemfontein. The Old Presidency in Bloemfontein, once a stately residence for South Africa's presidents, is now a place where history and the supernatural collide. Late at night, the halls are filled with the faint sounds of footsteps, as if someone is pacing back and forth in agitation. The large, empty rooms seem to hold their breath, waiting for something, or someone, to return. Witnesses have reported seeing ghostly apparitions of former residents dressed in period clothing, silently walking the grounds as if still performing their duties. The basement, once used for storage, is particularly unsettling, with reports of cold spots and unexplained whispers. The building's grand architecture hides a darker secret, a feeling of melancholy that pervades every corner, as though the very walls remember the sorrow and strife of those who once lived there. 9. Lord Milner Hotel, Matthiasfontein. The Lord Milner Hotel, nestled in the small Victorian town of Matthiasfontein, is the epitome of 19th century elegance, yet beneath its refined facade lies a history riddled with the supernatural. The most infamous specter here is the Lady in White, believed to be Lucy, a former guest who died under mysterious circumstances. She is frequently seen gliding down the corridors or sitting on the edge of beds, her pale form casting an eerie glow in the darkened rooms. Guests have reported waking up in the middle of the night to see her staring silently at them before disappearing into the ether. There are also tales of playful, ghostly children who move objects and flicker lights, their laughter echoing through the halls. The hotel's grand staircase is a hotspot for paranormal activity, where the sound of phantom footsteps reverberates, as if the past still plays out its final moments in a continuous loop. Every corner of the Lord Milner seems alive with energy from another time, trapping visitors in an eerie dance between the living and the dead. 10 Groot Constantia Wine Estate, Cape Town. Groot Constantia, one of South Africa's oldest and most prestigious wine estates, is home to more than just fine wine. It harbors the ghost of its original owner, Simon van der Stel. The manor is a beautiful example of Cape Dutch architecture, yet visitors often feel an oppressive presence lingering in the cool, dimly lit rooms. Van der Stel's spirit is said to appear on stormy nights, his figure standing solemnly at the end of the vineyard, gazing across the fields he once tended. Staff have reported hearing footsteps in the empty halls and doors closing on their own. In the cellar, where the rich aroma of aging wine fills the air, the sound of whispering voices has been heard, perhaps the conversations of long-dead workers still toiling away in the afterlife. The estate's serene beauty hides a dark past, and as night falls, the line between the present and the past blurs, with ghostly figures occasionally making their presence known to the living. 11th. Piggly Wiggly Railway, KwaZulu-Natal. The abandoned Piggly Wiggly Railway in KwaZulu-Natal is now nothing more than a memory of its former bustling self. But something lingers on the tracks. The ghost of a steam engine driver, who met his fate in a tragic accident on these very tracks, is said to haunt the area. On misty nights, witnesses have reported seeing the shadowy outline of a steam train chugging along, its lights flickering before vanishing into the fog. The sound of a train whistle cuts through the stillness, though no train has run on the line in decades. Some claim to hear the faint clattering of wheels on the tracks and the echo of distant voices, perhaps those of the passengers who never reached their destination. The driver himself has been seen walking along the tracks, his figure shrouded in mist, always searching, perhaps for the train he lost control of all those years ago. This haunting is a somber reminder of the dangers of early rail travel and the souls left behind in its wake. 12. Sievewright's Bridge, Eastern Cape. A lonely, weather-beaten bridge spans the river at Sievewright's Crossing in the Eastern Cape. Beneath it, the ghost of a young boy who drowned in the icy waters is said to haunt the area. Locals tell tales of hearing the faint cries of a child at night, and some have seen a small figure standing on the banks of the river, his pale, translucent face staring blankly ahead. On especially foggy nights, the bridge itself becomes a beacon for strange happenings. Phantom footsteps are heard crossing its old, creaking planks, yet no one is there. Cars that pass over the bridge often stall inexplicably, as if the ghost of the boy is somehow trying to stop them, warning them not to repeat his fate. The area around the bridge has an eerie stillness, broken only by the soft rush of the river, and a sense that something unseen lurks just beneath the surface, waiting for unsuspecting travelers. 13. The Athenaeum, Port Elizabeth. Once a hub for the arts and cultural events, the Athenaeum in Port Elizabeth now carries a more sinister reputation. It is said that a former caretaker, who died under tragic circumstances, never left the building. His ghost has been seen pacing the halls late at night, always checking that everything is in order, despite being long dead. The energy within the building shifts after dark. Shadows move on their own, and objects are sometimes found in disarray. There is a cold, heavy presence in certain rooms, where lights flicker uncontrollably, and the sound of faint whispering fills the silence. Actors rehearsing in the theater have reported feeling as though they are being watched from the dark corners of the room, and some claim to have seen the caretaker's figure seated in the back row, silently observing. The Athenaeum's once lively spirit has turned dark, with the past clawing its way into the present, refusing to let go of the building and those who dare enter. 14. Ghost House, Pretoria. Tucked away in the bustling city of Pretoria is a dilapidated mansion that locals simply refer to as the Ghost House. Abandoned for decades, it is said to be home to numerous spirits. The house's windows are dark and broken, but those brave enough to peek inside have reported seeing ghostly figures moving through the rooms. The legend tells of a wealthy family who lived there, all of whom died under mysterious circumstances, leaving their spirits trapped within the crumbling walls. At night, strange lights can be seen flickering in the windows, and the sound of disembodied voices rises from the depths of the house. Those who have ventured inside describe an overwhelming feeling of dread, as if unseen eyes are constantly watching them. Furniture has been known to move on its own, and doors slam shut with a deafening bang, though no one is near. The ghost house is a place where time has stood still, with the souls of its former residents locked in a terrifying limbo. 15. Riverside Hall, Durban. Riverside Hall, once a grand venue for lavish parties and social events, now lies abandoned and forgotten, but the spirits of those who once celebrated there have never left. Visitors who enter the decaying building often report hearing the faint sound of music and laughter, as if a party is still in full swing. Shadows move along the walls, and the faint clinking of glasses can be heard, despite the hall being empty for decades. Some have seen ghostly figures dressed in elegant gowns and tuxedos twirling across the dance floor, their faces locked in expressions of joy, forever trapped in their final moments of celebration. But there is also a darker presence, a figure in the corner of the hall watching silently, its face obscured by shadow. Those who meet its gaze feel an overwhelming sense of dread, as if they are being pulled into the hall's haunting past. Riverside Hall is a place where the echoes of the past still resonate, a spectral ball that continues long after the living have left. From haunted castles to eerie hotels, South Africa's paranormal side is as fascinating as it is terrifying. Whether you believe in ghosts or not, these places have left a mark on history and continue to stir the imaginations of those brave enough to explore them. If you enjoyed this deep dive into South Africa's most haunted places, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for more spine-tingling content. Until next time, stay curious and maybe keep the lights on.